I got the West, man. Deuce got the Chris. So, man, what they gonna do now? Put the West and the Chris together, man. Where you at? Where you at? Where you at? Atlanta, where you at? Where you at? Where you at? Birmingham, where you at? Where you at? Where you at? Mobile, where you at? Where you at? Where you at? Down south, showing no shame. Got the clubs and the club, we shaking that thing. Got the young bell coming up on the run down. See the club and they too strong. Like real tight, body said right, no, he can't cheat to the end of the night. Got the screw coming out, gotta get the club high. You know how to die. Everybody wanna be down with the side. 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 Everybody trying to get down with the side.
Welcome to the Free Lunch Podcast, home of the New South Movement. This is your boy Tight, and I got B Jeezy with me. B Jeezy, what's happening?
Nah, I got that gin in my system. FREELUNCH Podcast, what happening there? Tight.
Man, I'm turned up.
You turned up?
You know why?
Why?
My boy back. He back.
Who that?
Master P back.
What you mean Master P back? What
Master
Master P coming back to and from?
And that Money Mafia, they back. They got that power. They got that. They dropped that mixtape back in December. I'm late to the party. Just heard the single Power a few weeks ago. They back.
Master P got a mixtape?
Yeah, Money Mafia.
Oh boy, what it sound like?
Oh man, they got that. We Bout It. It's the new and improved Bout It. They got that Power with featuring Lil Wayne. They back.
Okay, so it's worth listening to.
Man, I'm bouncing right now.
I gotta check that out.
I'm bouncing.
I gotta check that out. Then P back in 2015.
Man,
P about 16.
It don't matter. He's still an OG.
Still got it.
Y'all need to go listen to that.
I'm gonna
Y'all
check
need to
that out.
And y'all need to go listen to that interview that he did on the Breakfast Club, where it was just inspiring. He back.
Yeah, I gotta check this out, man. P back. I gotta see what they're talking about in 2015. It should be interesting,
man. But I got a special guest sitting on the side of me, BG.
Special guest. We got another guest on the FREELUNCH Podcast. I like it.
We got another guest on the FREELUNCH Podcast. Topic, I think, is going to be one that's going to be a little different than what we've done in the past, but I think our special guest can bring some insight and a little enlightenment to the show. So let me go ahead and introduce her.
Introduce the guest.
Y'all have heard us talk about her before. She has a blog out now. Does a lot of good stuff in the art world. The blog site is called piecesofajm.blogspot.com. You've seen a few of her pieces featured on our Instagram site. And no further ado, we got Ashley J. Moore on the podcast. Welcome to the show.
Hey, everybody.
Yay, Ashley. What's going on, Ash?
Nothing much.
Glad to have you on this episode of the FREELUNCH Podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Good deal.
How are you doing today?
I'm good.
Okay. So I think we're going to have a good show, BG. I think that with Ashley being on the show, I think that's kind of, she'll be able to give us some background as to who she is and what she's been doing and really how that relates to the topic for today.
And knowing Ashley, she's going to bring a lot of information and a lot of insight and perspective. So I think that the family will enjoy having her on and hearing what she has to say. So now you got me excited. Now you got me really excited, man. So I'm guessing this is going to be a turned up Vine. I just feel that it's going to be a turned up Vine.
You think so?
I feel it. I mean, now I can be surprised. I could be wrong, but I just got a feeling that you're gonna crank that thing today.
Man, I really wanted to get. If I could stand on the bar, right now, I stand on the bar.
You would? No flex on?
No flex on.
Man,
I shut down Art. What it's called, Art Basel.
Art Basel.
Yeah,
I
shut it down right now.
Man, I was on a road trip, man. My bad. I was on the road trip, had that Ray Shrimmer going, boy. They got some other songs on that CD.
I know.
They jamming, bro.
I know.
They jamming.
The No Flex Zone dude.
It ratchet, but you know, if you need something to wake you up in the morning or something to ride to, they definitely got it.
But you know why I really been enjoying them dudes though?
What's that?
Because I mean, if you just look at TV and you just just look at the Super Bowl commercials this past year. Everything's so somber and everything's so just down. And them dudes just live life. They are life. And that's the reason why I'm just like, these dudes just be turned up and just be ready to go. So that's really what I appreciate about those dudes is just that energy that them dudes bring to the table. You ever heard the No Flex Zone dudes?
You asking the wrong person. You know it.
Oh,
I'm
Ash,
sorry.
you got to know the No Flex Zone, dude. You know him, you just don't know you know him.
Okay.
Yeah, you know him.
You ain't never heard the No Flex Zone dude?
Other than you talking about it now.
No?
Mm-mm.
You know him. But yeah, they got an energy, man. It's contagious too. So yeah, I support the movement, and I think that they'll because of that charisma that they have. I anticipate them going pretty far now. You know.
I do too. But
It's
Ashley,
ways,
she may not know the No Flex Zone dude, but she can tell you about Ty Tribbett.
Whatever, some NDRE, somebody, a little mellow.
Yeah, I ain't mad at that either. I ain't mad.
Man, let's get into the show, man.
Let's go then. Let's go. You ready?
I'm ready.
I get to him. Do it for the vine.
I need a slow motion video right now because I'm moving in slow motion, feeling like Hype Williams shooting a brother, hey. I need a slow motion video right now. Basquiat's, Warhol, serving as my muses. My house is like a museum, so I see them when I'm peeing. Usually you don't have this much taste, you're European. That's the end of the way of thinking. Brother, never again. No, when the heat is coming, I learned that this is where De Niro would be if he ain't turned back. F Sosa, this Hova, this is real life. This is what the ending of Scarface should feel like. Hey, I need a slow motion video right now. Cause I'm moving in slow motion, feeling like Hype Williams shooting a brother, hey. You know that
Karaoke,
man?
karaoke strikes again.
Hey.
Karaoke strikes again. That shit ain't easy, man.
It ain't easy. I'm trying.
It ain't easy.
Everybody thought they could do it. Until they get behind that mic.
What song was that?
Man, that was that illest MF on that.
Kanye on that. Watch the Throne.
On that Watch the Throne.
Man, speaking of Kanye West, did y'all see Kanye West on the Grammys?
What is that dude doing, man?
Kanye got an ulterior motive, man. He trying to do something. It's a marketing strategy or something. But did you see Jay-Z and Beyonce fade though?
Yeah.
They were like,
what is this guy
they were like,
doing?
They were like, oh no.
What is this guy doing? Why is this guy so fascinated with Beyonce?
Man, I think Kanye was just trying to take advantage of that moment. It was in one way it was a genius move, but in a lot of ways it was out of order, man. I'm about ready for Kanye to just kind of sit down, take a moratorium for a minute, and chill out because he got a lot going on right now.
He really do, and
But anyway, I digress.
Yeah. But I mean, I hope the lyrics of that verse that I attempted to rap kind of highlights and sparks what we're gonna be talking about today, and hence the reason we have Ashley Moore participating in today's conversation, because we really want to talk about just art in general. You know, the more and more we talk about truth and the more and more we talk about living our truth, I think a part of that is really being able to articulate what the soul has to say. And I think there are various ways we can articulate, and I continue to say articulate because the root of that is art, the soul's expression through music, through writing, and also through being an artist and paintings and different types of artwork. So for today's conversation, I really want to take I hope we can just do a couple of things, right? I hope we can, number one, just talk about the importance of art. We can also just draw a connection between art and hip-hop, but also more or less just talk about, Southern art and talk about, are there a lot of Southern artists? And then even talk about, growing up, I don't really remember participating in art and really just trying to spark the conversation around being artistic and encouraging young folks to really tap into that soul side of them and really try to articulate what the soul has to say. What you think, BG?
Yeah, that's interesting because you said it like, we were coming up, art and, music, literature, writing, drawing, stuff like that really wasn't something that was emphasized or something that we were encouraged to do. You would have a few classmates that would just innately, be able to do that type of thing, but it wasn't something that we were really told that we should explore. And as I sit in this seat now, I just reflect and wish that I had been, introduced and encouraged to do certain things from an artistic standpoint earlier on in my life. Because like we say, art is kind of an expression of your inner soul, and it allows you to tap into different type of energies, some of the energies that we need, to have and to visit in our day-to-day life. So, as we talk about it, art is an important thing. It's a very interesting thing. And when you get into the art and the actual artist and trying to put it together as it relates to what was the artist thinking about when he constructed this piece and things like that, it takes you for a little journey, man. That's very interesting, like reading a good book or watching a good movie. So this should be a very good discussion and hopefully a bit of an enlightening and encouraging discussion for our listeners, so that they may feel the push to tap into whatever artistic side that they may have and possess.
So when I think of art is like just being like a vehicle. So you have like poetry, the written form of art. You have the visual arts. You have performing arts. But all of them, to me, they're like a vehicle. So when I think about painting, for me, it's like that transportation to get through whatever I'm trying to process or to get from one destination to another. And for me, I see like art, you use it not only when you think of transportation and vehicles, it takes you from one place to another, but if you're considerate of others, it also, you can use it to help other people have rides to where they need to go. So for me, art is a piece of therapy, and help to process whatever's going on. And so like when you share art, whether you're sharing a poem or whether you're sharing lyrics or whatever, hopefully it not only helps you get from where you're trying to go, but also helps the hearers or the people who are viewing it. So, it expresses the soul, but hopefully when you put it out there, it also helps other people.
And it's unadulterated because it just comes from, it's coming from you. So it's your perspective, it's your thoughts, it's everything about you coming out in whatever form you so choose. And it's not necessarily affected by any outside forces. So it's very pure, it's very genuine, and a very authentic place to be in once you get into that artistic space and however you want to express it. Like she said, whether it be, drawing or painting or writing and all those type of things.
Living in the DMV, you can have access to a lot of museums and you have access to different events. So more so when I first moved to the DMV, I visited a lot of these places, not so much lately, but I find it interesting because it's one of those things that I wish I would have tapped into earlier in my childhood. The music, learning to play instruments, also learning to just doing a little bit more paintings and those sort of things. Because Ashley, you made a good point. It could be therapeutic. The question I have. And the first direction we kind of can go in is, are a lot of the young folks today tapping into this artistic side, into that artistic side of themselves?
I think it just depends on like the area and like the type of school they're in and what their parents are into, what they're pushing them into. So I can't speak for like all, youth, but I do see a lot of the arts in DC. I see a lot of opportunities for youth to get into spoken word, but you have to have access to it. So if you don't have parents putting you in a school where that's something that's prioritized, then they still miss out. They still miss out on it. So I don't know how widespread it is. I think teaching in DC allows me to see the opportunities you have in DC to either do like spoken word or different performing arts, especially like music. So back in the day, for me, it was band. So like the marching band. But to be in the marching band, you still have to learn like the basics so that you can use that for a variety of different types of music. But I'm not sure how widespread it is.
I probably agree with what Ashley said. It kind of depends on the area, because looking at, as it relates to like schools and stuff like that, like it's the same thing as it was for us. They're not really emphasizing that. A lot of the programs, fine art programs, even some of the music, like the choirs and the bands, are being cut out of a lot of these schools. So
it's a shift, because there's a shift into like focus on like math and science, and then a lot of focus on like standardized tests and scores. And so art is not seen as a priority when it seems like the stakes are high for kids to have certain scores. So if they're choosing where to put money, they're going to put the money where their priority is, and the priority is improving academic scores, then it gets overshadowed. And then you think about parents. They want their children to have some kind of stable job. So if they're pushing them in the arts, that doesn't look like a stable place, stable direction to push them in, because they want them to have something that's going to guarantee income, even though it's not guaranteed no matter what your profession is.
Yeah, you said it. And I think that's the standpoint that I can speak for my parents. That's definitely the standpoint they had. It's like there's no stable career behind, being an artist. And you hear the story all the time about struggling artists and stuff like that. But, from a financial standpoint, yeah, they may be struggling, but from a passion and a fulfillment standpoint, they're rich, because they're just doing what they want and what their heart is telling them to do. But in terms of institutions, formalized teaching or encouraging young people to get involved in art and to tap into that, I think it's the same as it was when we were coming up, man. And it's like Ashley said, it's like low on the priority totem pole. So there is more access, of course, with social media and stuff like that. So a kid might have a better chance of exploring on their own and saying that that's something they want to do. But in terms of the pieces being in place and being a part of their formal education, nah.
I think that's putting art in a box, though, when you're looking at it, like when we're trying to, like, either, you're looking for something stable or whether it's unstable, because it doesn't have to be even about a job. Like, I think, like, you just want to have well-rounded people, so an opportunity to be able to, like, kids and adults need a way to express themselves. So it doesn't have to be through painting, but I think we need to, like, put out there that there are positive ways that you can, like, express yourself. So it doesn't even have to be about a job, like some people might like playing basketball just as a release, that's not like they want to be a basketball star as a career. So just like, encouraging people to be well-rounded.
I kind of wonder if we talk about art and we talk about, if the youth is participating more or less in art than it was for us decades ago. I guess the question, when you see the connection between hip hop and art, Jay-Z, has several songs, Picasso Baby, he talks about Andy Warhol, and he talks about Basquiat. Then they have the event that you attended in Miami. Wouldn't those type of, when you have individuals like Jay-Z and you have different activities like Art Basel, wouldn't you see an increase more and more around the liberal arts?
I think you're seeing it. People are because of people like Jay-Z and Kanye and different hip hop artists that have included particular artists and their lyrics, and they talk about having certain collections. Like you've got Swiss Beats, who is kind of creating his own art collection, buying art pieces and stuff like that. So there's an increased awareness with our generation, and I guess the generation behind us, as it relates to art and different artists from the past and stuff like that. And if you look at the history with the particular artists that you're talking about, like a Warhol or a Basquiat, artists that were really booming in the 80s, you know, they kind of came up. The communities dwell together. You had this hip hop community that was building up, and then those particular artists were more contemporary artists. They were taking a different turn and putting their own twist on art. You know, like a Basquiat, young black guy, he couldn't get into any of the major galleries. You know, he started off as a graffiti artist, and his art was so contemporary and it was so political that it just didn't look right in the same place with some of these historical artists. So there was kind of this similarity that those communities shared. They were both kind of renegade, radical, and trying to break out and set new ground. And so now here we are in like the 2000s, kind of reflecting on those artists. We've got rappers that are talking about it. And so if they say something in the lyric, then most people will go and research, like, who is he talking about? And then you get introduced to this different world. And I think that particular event that you're talking about, like Basel, I could imagine that probably when it started, it was probably an older, probably Caucasian crowd that was going to this event. But over time, based off of talking to people and what I witnessed with my own eyes, there's a diverse grouping of people that go to this, young, old, different ethnicities and things like that. And I feel like, in line with what you're talking about, that there is a connection between people's interest being piqued in art by what's been going on in the world of hip hop and the faces that we see in pop culture.
Ashley.
Yeah.
You're an artist. Tell us about your two things. What's your process for getting your artwork to like come to fruition? What's the process you take?
So for me, I guess it's not like one set process. Usually, I could be thinking about something, or like it's just my way sometimes of coming down from the day at work or whatever. And it's the space where I don't have to worry about getting it right. Like it's a space where I don't have to really be afraid of making mistakes. I can be a perfectionist during the daytime at work, you know, so it's the place where I could just have like a canvas and just go at it and just release. So I don't really have a set process. That's actually the place where I let go of like boundaries. Like I'm like, I don't have the rule of what something's supposed to look like or what it's supposed to be like. So I don't really have a formal process. I just keep working until it looks done, until it feels done on the inside. Sometimes that's like a 10-minute piece, you know, sometimes it's a whole week, you know, until it feels like it's done. But that's just the space where I could just turn off, like, and not just be on, like in my mind. I could just turn off and not have to worry about other people's expectations.
How long have you been painting?
Painting actually for me is like a newer thing. Like I used to dance and write more, like to process a whole lot of poetry. And then when I moved to DC, I just started painting a little bit more, probably about 5 years ago. I used to draw and sketch and things like that, but recently I've been painting more than anything else.
What is your, like, how would you, I don't want to say label, but how would you categorize the type of art that you do in some of your favorite pieces?
I guess maybe it's abstract. Somebody, not calling any names, said you just do black women and trees, but you know, that's not quite true.
It wasn't me. It wasn't me. It wasn't me.
You got a lot of black women and trees, so I figured it
wasn't me.
I don't know. Sometimes expressionist and sometimes I guess just abstract. I don't know. Like I don't really like categories and rules. Like even in poetry, like I was like, it don't always have to rhyme. You know, like it just needs to make sense to me. So I don't know. Somebody might look at it and call it like abstract. You know, so something I don't have like a lot of details in some of my work. You know, so you might not see details in the face, but like. each of them, they still convey a story, but so I really don't know. I guess I have to look it up. But I really don't even want to look it up because I don't like really being in a box when it comes to that area of my life. So I don't know if it has a category.
It's good. It's good stuff, and y'all should check it out. We got some of the pieces on the Instagram page. It's good stuff. I mean, it just is what it is. It's good art. And what she's saying is like what it's all about, man. It's like you don't even have to worry about that. You don't have to worry about the lines. You don't have to worry about if it's filled in correctly or anything like that. You just go with it. Yeah. And I think, you know, in listening to Ashley talk about it, tight, you know, I just see it, you know, of having that peace in the individual's life creates a sense of balance, you know, especially if you have a work or a job that's high strung and it's very detail oriented and you got to do everything by the book. You're going to need some balance in your life. You're going to need to be able to get to a place to where you can put that aside and just be free and be able to just do whatever without any restrictions. So I think from a spiritual and even a psychological standpoint, like it's good to have this type of outlet, an artistic outlet to where you do something 360 degrees differently than what you do, you know, on your job where you spend about 8, 10 or 12 hours. So I think this is important, this whole art thing. And it's never too late to tap into something and make it your own and create that balance for your life.
Ashley said something that was very interesting to me. And that was basically you just have a canvas and it's a blank slate. And essentially you have the ability without boundaries to essentially create what it is you want to create. And really, to be quite frank with you, I think that's really a microcosm of how we should really operate, how we should really treat our lives. We really have each and every day a blank opportunity to create the world that we would like to have created for us. We have that ability through actual painting, but I think the same concept or the same thought process of really just waking up and just saying, okay, today is a blank slate. I have the ability to create the world that I would like to have created on that day, and really try to remove boundaries from any of the things that we do.
They have this book, and it's called Beautiful Oops. I use it for my kids. And basically, each page just shows a mistake, and then it shows how you can transform that mistake into something beautiful. And so, like, on one of the pages, there's this coffee stain from a cup, and then the person changed it and drew outlines around it, and it changed it into, like, it looked like a picture of a frog. And so for me, art teaches me the process kind of like a beautiful oops. So sometimes when I'm painting, I feel like I'm learning life lessons. So I started a piece a while back by melting crayons, and it looked a mess. But like I realized when you let it dry, you can scrape off some of the wax, and then you can keep cultivating it into what you want it to look like. And so for me, art just gives me the space to be reminded that, like, even in life. So sometimes we may not feel like we have that blank slate. Sometimes, like, it's a mess. I can't really make anything out of that. But if you just give it time and just keep working on it, like, you know, nothing, you know, time, you know, just gives us a space so that, you know, things can turn around, like, you know, just keep working at it or whatever. So, I don't know, like, art also just helps me to process, like, just different life lessons.
So you do a few different things, right? So you participate in different workshops or what have you. Can you talk about some of the workshops you've done or you do, and how you utilize art to facilitate those workshops?
I guess like the workshops come, I guess, from like my belief that like our voices are valuable and that our stories are valuable, like no matter what our mistakes or our past have been like. And so being able to like use your story and find power in it rather than it hindering you. So I use art to facilitate workshops where I'm just encouraging people to put their stories on canvas or put their emotions on canvas and to value it and to use it as a form of process so they can go to the next step in life rather than whatever they're going through that's holding them back. I also use the workshops as an opportunity because most of my pieces are telling a story. So some of them tell the story of like when I used to struggle with like insecurities or even depression, like when I was in college, and some of the pieces helped me work through that. And to be able to share is topics that people might not like admit, like, oh, I struggle with depression. Like some people might not say that, but in like the workshops that I've done, and I'm sharing the story behind some of the pieces, you'll have people come up and say, oh yeah, or they share pieces of their story and just feel a little bit more liberated to just be able to own it. Like, this has been my path, this has been my story. And whether they use art or not to process, just knowing that like it's okay to find a way to process and like to value your story. It's just a piece of your story, not the end all.
What do you have them do?
I have them create a piece where they tell their story. So some people are not telling full stories. Sometimes they use it to tell about a moment in time, and then give them an opportunity if they want to share at the end to share. So usually have stations set up with different materials. I just really don't believe in having a whole lot of rules when it comes to like creating art pieces or whatever. So I just give them supplies, show them what they could do, and just encourage them to go at it and not be afraid of making mistakes. If you mess something up on the canvas, you can paint over it, So just showing them like that's their space, that they could like just be creative and they can express themselves, and to call what they're doing art, like just to value it. Because who's to say that one piece is a piece of art and another is not? I was in a museum and like they had this huge white canvas and that was the piece on display. And I was like, if they could put this gigantic white canvas on display that he just put extra white paint on top, then, I'm not going to not call my stuff art just because it is not in a museum, so they can call their own pieces art. So I just use art as a way, as really just a vessel to address different mental and emotional issues with the people I'm working with.
BG?
Man, I mean, like we keep saying, that's what it's all about. And really it's a practice that can transcend and cross over into just your everyday functioning and your everyday thought processes, because one, you're taking control of that moment. You're taking control of that space when you get into an artistic type of mind frame. And I feel like that's how we should be operating all the time, taking advantage of that moment. If something comes up, manipulate it and make it work best for you. I think that if you notice, and we talked about Kanye West and all that kind of stuff, you notice that these people, artists, I had the privilege of meeting a few artists at Art Basel. I met Ron Bass down there while I was there. And when you see these people, man, you talk about ultimate confidence. Like they don't really care how you perceive them. They don't really care about how you perceive their artwork for real. Like they do it and it comes from their heart, and you either like it or you love it. I think about a Kanye West. He's always screaming art, and that's really what it is to him. And he's confident in that. He's confident in what he does. He's a perfectionist, and he puts out a good product. But at the end of the day, he's going to do what he's going to do. And so, like, if you look at that, and it's like, man, that's something that I could apply to my real life in terms of just having that ultimate confidence. Like, I'm going to do what I do. I'm going to put this out there. And you can hate it or love it, but that's not going to stop me from doing what I do. And it's a great breakaway from what we do with 80 to 90% of the rest of our lives. Like we're out here and, we work jobs to try to please our supervisors and make sure all of the numbers match up and all that type of stuff. But inevitably, in living our truth, it's like getting to that place, man, of where you just doing what feels right to you, doing what your soul tells you to do, and being led by your spirit. And I think that when we talk about the actual art, for those of us that may be doing art and doing things artistic as maybe like a hobby or a release, it's a good practice to stay in that zone and then cross that over into day-to-day life. And it's a lot of people. I know a lot of people that have an ability, they write or have written in the past or draw and do things like that, but life has caught up and they're so engaged in their day-to-day 9 to 5, their jobs and all else that goes on, that they've gotten away from that piece of them. And so, when I talk to them, I'm always encouraging them to get back in that place, because that's a return to that balance that they need, because they innately have it within them. So, everything that Ashley say is like real in terms of it being beneficial from a psychological and a spiritual standpoint.
That's really, in a lot of ways, one of the many reasons why we really need to have this conversation is because, to be quite frank, I know a number of people that are just artistic in their own way, whether it be writing, whether it's music, whether it's painting. And those individuals have really allowed life to dictate their very own participation in something that they've been gifted at. And so it bothers me because I mean, I probably shouldn't say this, but I'm not the most artistic person, right? So I'm not a painter, or I'm not a drawer, or I try to write, when I can, or I utilize the podcast really to be therapeutic for me to really express how I'm feeling and what's going on. But I think that today we allow life to kind of control who we are. I think that, my favorite book is The Alchemist, and one of the characters in that particular piece is the merchant that really, to me, in a lot of ways, is an illustration of how a lot of us are living today, and that's just complacent, and that's also just not really trying to fulfill a purpose or a calling, or utilizing the gifts that we've been given to articulate what our soul is really saying. And I say all that to say that I really hope this podcast can, even though we talk about art and the importance of it, I hope it can spark that desire for a lot of people that have those gifts to get back into that mindset, into that place. Me and a friend of mine, we used to call it get wired in, kind of like on the social network, that Facebook movement, when they would talk about being wired in. And what that really is just really getting into that frame of mind, and into that place where you can really articulate what it is that you're trying to say and what you're trying to do. And the last thing I'll say is I think that it's important to really create that energy in that environment so that you can go out there and you can produce that peace that's really been inside of you. When Jay-Z put out the Blueprint, a lot of people don't know this, but the Blueprint was done in 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. And you just never know how a piece could be perceived. Our only responsibility is to take the gifts that we've been given and to express that and put that out there in the universe. That's right. Our only responsibility. Once it's out there in the universe, then what's meant to be will happen. So to all those artists and to all those people that are gifted at writing and the arts and paintings, just do your part. And what I encourage you to do your part, and just really just put the piece, whatever's in your heart and whatever's on your heart's desire, is to just put that out there in the universe and allow the universe to do what it is it's supposed to do.
I really think that exposure is important. So, because there's sometimes people may not know exactly well, what is it that, what is that outlet for me? They may not feel like an artist, or they may not feel like I'm, they're a good writer or whatever. So I think exposure is important. So just putting yourself in different environments so you could just see what kind of strikes a nerve or what kind of stirs something inside. So even just stepping outside of what might be your norm. So if you don't normally go to the opera, maybe checking out an opera to see if something stirs something in you, going to different concerts, listen to different genres of music, and just different atmospheres. Sometimes I go, they have a place called Busboy and Poets here, and whenever I'm there, it just stirs inspiration on the inside to be creative. So sometimes it's a matter of putting yourself in places where that creativity can be stirred on the inside of you. And then for those who feel like they're more analytical, just knowing what your thing is and doing it. So whether you get more kick out of doing mathematical equations, just finding the space to live out what's on the inside. In terms of exposure and art with kids, though, I think they don't know until they know. Like, it's important for like those who are mentoring or helping or working with youth or have children to just take them to different places where they can get exposure to the arts, because they won't know it unless they see it or unless they've been exposed to it.
Yeah, for me, you know, over the last probably three years or so, you know, we've been blogging, and we've been doing this podcast, and then I also do like some, you know, do the whole music thing, and have dibbled and dabbled in sketching and photography, but just, you know, just being in those things, man, has really helped my process in terms of paying attention to life. And really slowing down and appreciating just the simple thing. You know, I find myself all the time just kind of looking at the window when I'm driving around, just looking at the terrain and just really appreciating, like, you know, how all things work together and just the beauty in simplicity. So it's really helped me just to slow down and really appreciate the moments, because, you know, prior to, things be going so fast. You have a plan. You want to do this with your career. You want to do this, and everything's on a schedule. And by operating like that, you just lose track of things that really matter. So for me personally, by, you know, engaging in different artistic modes just within the last 3 years has really benefited me. And help me to just, you know, be thankful for each day, and be thankful for my position and my place. And then also just kind of enjoying life and discovering ways to get more out of the life that I've been given. So I just highly encourage people to try something, you know, and it don't have to be anything formal. Your art is your art, whatever speaks to you, you know, act on that. And for those that have had it at one point in time that may have lost it because of the daily shuffle, get back to it, and bring that balance back to your life.
Live in the moment. Live in the now.
Yeah.
I just do remember. I guess I went to an artistic event 2 weeks ago. They was dancing on the stage.
They were dancing on the stage.
The alley dance.
Alvin Ailey.
The Alvin Ailey Dance Theater Company.
Oh, you did something then, boy. Alvin Ailey. That's one of the best to ever do it.
Oh yeah, they was out there dancing on the stage, so it was good to participate.
No, you just gonna say they were dancing on the stage?
It was good to be
That's
exposed.
ballet, man.
It was good to be. Well, it was. Some of it was praise dancing. I just seen it was 2 hours of praise.
Goodness.
No, it was modern dance. See, this is just an example of, everything may not be your thing. So modern dance, but it's okay. You know, have the exposure. Okay. You can see, oh no, I don't really like that. You know, you may like something else. It's all good.
So that was the last artistic thing I participated in.
No, actually, it's not. He painted. He
painted.
Yes, he did a painting.
Put him out.
I need him to describe the directions, what he was supposed to do, and what he did, though, so you can see.
I think it's time to wrap up.
So hold up. So he did what now? He was painting?
So the painting was supposed to be 2 wine glasses, and the wine was supposed to be coming from the wine glasses and merging. Yes. He did the Lord's Supper. He was like, this is a fish. You know, he had bread, and then he stood up and did the wave. Started people doing the wave in the art event. I was like, oh my goodness! But you know what? Just add a little more flavor to art. You know, so to each his own.
Yeah, we did the wave at the art. We did the wave at the art event.
He started the wave.
When I say we, I'm talking about everybody on the left side did the wave.
Tight. You acting like the No Flex on dudes at the art studio. You just gonna do what you want to do, huh?
Hey, they had no boundary. We did the wave. We did the wave last night. The artist, the lady said that that was the first time she had ever seen the wave in the art studio. So I felt proud.
Sounds about right.
So before we wrap up, Ms. Moore, how can those that are interested in purchasing any of your paintings, how can they go about doing that?
So you can
give us the URL again.
So the blog where it has a compilation of art and poetry is pieces of ajm.blogspot.com. And there's a link where you can email me, like if you're interested in any other pieces. But my email address is amore32006@yahoo.com.
All right, BG. How can the people find us, though?
Man, we on freelunchpodcast.com. We also on Twitter. Drop us a line, give us some feedback if you like this show or any of the other episodes. Free Lunch Pod C, and on Instagram, Free Lunch Podcast.
Hey, and I need you people to subscribe to us, to follow us, to really help keep this movement going. It's the Free Lunch Podcast, home of the New South movement. So keep this movement going. If you're an artist, let us know so we can feature some of your paintings. If you're a musician, if you write books, let us know. We wanna highlight you and put you out there so that people can know about some of the things that you're doing. So that's all I got, man. The only other thing I got is that he back.
He back, Master P. But before you get into it, man, I just want to thank Ashley for joining us on this episode. You brought some real interesting thoughts to this podcast about the art stuff. Keep doing what you're doing. I enjoy it. I enjoy the piece. I'm gonna have to buy me one, hang it on my wall.
Thanks.
Basquiat's Warhol serving as my muses. My house is like a museum, so when I see them when I'm peeing. Usually you have this much taste, you're European. That's the end of that way of thinking. Never again. Know when to leave when the heat is coming. I learned that. This is where De Niro would be if he ain't turned back. F. Sosa, this Hova. This is real life. This is what the ending of Scarface should feel like. Oh, I need a slow motion video right now. Because I'm moving in slow motion, feeling like hype with shooting the brother. Hey. And we out of here. Free Lunch Podcast, home of the New South Movement. Peace.